All right. Hey, everyone. This is David B. And in this video, I want to talk about this book that I just finished reading, which is Something Wicked This Way Comes by Ray Bradbury. And actually, I had read this book maybe about 10 years ago. I can't remember exactly when. So this was my second time reading it. It's a dark fantasy novel that's about 300 pages long and was first published in 1962. The title comes from a line from Shakespeare's Macbeth when one of the witches says, "By the pricking of my thumbs, something wicked this way comes." And first of all, I love when in poetry or music, the verb is put at the end. It's something that's very common in languages like German, and I think it just has such strong impact when the verb comes at the end of the sentence. Just a small aside. This is the perfect novel to get you in the mood for fall, October, and Halloween, that whole time of year. Especially so with the opening of the book. I just want to read you a few lines from the prologue. First of all, it was October, a rare month for boys. Then skipping ahead. And if it's around October 20th, and everything smoky smelling, and the sky orange and ash gray at twilight, it seems Halloween will never come in a fall of broomsticks and a soft flap of bedsheets around corners. But one strange, wild, dark, long year, Halloween came early. We are introduced to the two main characters, which are Will Halloway and Jim Nightshade, two boys that are 13, about to turn 14. They live in the small town of Greentown, Illinois, in the American Midwest. Let me read you the first line of chapter 1. The seller of lightning rods arrived just ahead of the storm. Now, come on, if that line doesn't make you want to keep reading, it just sets the perfect Halloween mood. So, what is this book actually about? Well, we have the lightning rod salesman coming ahead of the storm. Then we have a carnival that shows up by train in the middle of the night, and that sets the main stage for the actions of this novel. I don't want to give away too much of the action of the novel, but let me talk about some of the themes that the book deals with. And I think the one, probably the most important theme, has to do with time. So we have two boys that are 13, about to turn 14. So one of the major themes is this idea of the transition from childhood to adulthood. And the two boys, Will and Jim, they have quite different personalities. So Will is the more cautious of the two. He's maybe a bit young and naive for his age, whereas Jim is the more adventurous of the two, and it's like he has more life experience than his age would suggest. And so in their friendship, we kind of have this balance of Jim always wanting to rush ahead and do these adult things and grow up faster, whereas Will is the one kind of saying, wait a minute, let's be a little cautious about what we're doing before we rush into something without thinking. So you have that duality between the two of them that you could almost analyze as the two sides of maybe everyone's own personality. I think we all have those two different sides in various amounts. Sticking with the theme of time, another main character is Will's dad, who works as a janitor at the local library. And he's 54 years old. So from his perspective, when he's worrying about time, he's worrying about the future and growing old, and about how he became a father at a older age, and thinking that maybe he's too old to really be a good father for Will. There's also a lot of good versus evil in this book, with the evil side being the guys, Mr. Cougar and Mr. Dark, who run the carnival, and the side of good being Will, Jim, and Will's father. Now, as far as what I like and don't like about this book, the things that I like is the beginning part and just the overall theme and feel of this book. Again, this is a perfect book to get you into that October and Halloween kind of mood. I also like some of the more philosophical parts of the book where it's dealing with those themes such as time and how people of different ages deal with the passing of time. Maybe younger people wanting to be older versus older people wishing they could be younger again. in that way, it really is a book that sometimes I just wanted to pause and think over what I had just read. Now, as far as the writing style, sometimes it almost feels overly descriptive or a bit flowery, just in the way that things are described, to the point where sometimes I'd have to reread things just because I didn't understand what it was trying to say. So I'm not saying that it's poorly written or anything, but I think that it's sometimes not written in a straightforward style. So maybe you like that or maybe you don't. But if English is not your native language, I think there are certain parts that you might find difficult to understand. And even as a native English speaker, sometimes I struggled to understand exactly what was happening. I also found it hard, especially in the middle part of the book, to stay focused, where I think this book took me a couple weeks to read because there were days where I just wanted to pick it up and read one chapter, and then it was like, okay, I'm done with this book for today. And the book has kind of a feel-good ending that I thought was a little bit cheesy. And there's also some loose ends that they never really tie up about what happens to certain characters. So in that way, I wasn't massively impressed by the ending. But as far as the book overall, I definitely recommend reading this. It's not a super long book. Like I said, it's 300 pages in this small format. So if you're looking for something to get into that kind of Halloween and October mood, something that's sort of fantasy and horror, check this book out. Something Wicked This Way Comes by Ray Bradbury. This is David B. Thanks for watching.